Hey everybody, I'm Garen and this is CitizenDiplomacy.net. I'm on a mission to talk to one person from every country in the world, and today we're talking to Baraa from Yemen. Yemen's a place that we don't hear a lot about, and when we do, it's usually not very good things. So I was excited to talk to somebody who could kind of, illuminate the situation and tell us about what his country is really like. In the beginning, we talk more politics and we talk a lot about terrorism and drones and things like that. And it's really cool to see the other side of our policies. But make sure you stay tuned till the end because I feel like the further into it we get, the better the conversation gets. And while it starts off pretty political, it ends on a pretty good personal level too. So this conversation was a lot of fun for me, and I hope you enjoy it. Here's Baraa from Yemen. Most Americans don't know much about Yemen, and me included. I barely know anything. So, um, what do Americans need, or just anybody in the world? What do we need to know about Yemen?
Okay. Well, Yemen is it's a country in the Arab Peninsula. It's a 25 million population. Yemen has been ruled by dictator for more than almost 33 years, and until the popular uprising forced him to step down in 2011. Most of Yemen was usually seen by a lot of media outlets as the country where it's just the backyard of Saudi Arabia, and where usually terrorism hatches. For me and for many Yemenis, we feel there has been a lot of people has been misled by the media that are usually reflecting this image to the people just like you who are in America. What they don't realize is that the Yemeni people in 2011 went out to the streets wanting a new democratic civil state. So there are people demanding the freedom and dignity as as people all around the world would see. Even in the Yemeni revolution, I know that this is how many people knew about Yemen. Still, it didn't get the media attention as Egypt and Tunisia did. We and many of the youth my age are trying to change that. We feel finally the Yemeni youth have a voice to say now, and that's what we're trying to change.
Cool. So tell me about the demonstrations in 2011. Did you take part in those, and how have things changed since then? And tell me about that.
Okay. In 2011, the political process, especially led by President Ali Abdullah Saleh, reached to an end. He actually wanted a new amendment in the constitution, which would allow him to run for elections for life. Most of the opposition political parties boycotted the parliament at that moment, and it was at January 2011. So the tensions were very high. People were looking very closely at what happened in Tunisia and what's happening at the moment in Egypt. The 3rd of February, a lot of youth activists, political parties, civil society called for a mass demonstration asking for Ali Abdullah Saleh to step down from power. Surprisingly, a lot of people responded to that call. At February 3rd, that was the first demonstration led by youth of our age, calling in a very clear way for the step down of the president, and the call was very clear. We want to step down of the regime. In the 10th of February, Mubarak in Egypt stepped down and had to leave power. in the 11th of February, that's where we would say the revolution started in Yemen. So the second day of Mubarak stepping down from power, from presidency. The Yemeni revolution actually took much longer than we expected. It took until November, and until Ali Abdullah Saleh signed a GCC led the Gulf countries led an initiative for his step down and a political process, and in it we entered a 2 years transitional period. Now we have a new president. The new president, we call him a transitional president, who's supposed to lead the situation during the transitional period. And we have a new government. This new government is formed half by half from the old political parties and the old regime. So they can reach until February 2014. That's when a lot of people are expecting, a new president to come in and a new government, because it's the parliamentary elections. Now it's not clear how things will look like. Maybe in 2014 we will need to a bit of an extension for our current president. But I mean, what we are trying so hard, either in the current process we're entering, that the old regime, the old figures of the regime, don't come back to power. That's our main concern at the moment. In the GCC deal, there was an agreement that there would be a national dialogue. The national dialogue is, you can call it as a convention, a constitutional convention, with all political parties and all sectors of this society together, and they would draft a new constitution. And we are expected to vote for it in 2014. Right now, we're in the middle of this process. We're in the middle of the national dialogue. We're expected to be ending by the middle of September, and start drafting the constitution, and then we'll have a referendum by the beginning of 2014.
It's just fascinating how in America our own revolution is such a huge part of our culture. Just the idea of the founding fathers and the Minutemen who fought for freedom and everything that we have, we owe to them. And it's just amazing to think that that's where you are right now. And hundreds of years later, we read about these guys. I'm reading a book right now about the revolution, and these are our heroes. But for your country, like, that's you right now. So the young people went out and made this happen. Like, what does it feel like to be in the middle of this process? And like what you said, when the president stepped down, tell me what the emotion was like of that.
Well, to be honest with you, a lot of people, because the revolution took longer than we expected. A lot of people expected that the president might step down after a month or two maximum from the beginning of the revolution, but it's all extended. So you can imagine from February until almost the end of November, when he signed the initiative announcing that we have a new president coming to power. At that moment, we had a lot of mixed feelings. Actually, a lot of youth factors said that this GCC deal, we're not part of this GCC deal because part of it gave immunity to Ali Abdullah Saleh. That was part of the agreement, that he would step down in exchange for having an immunity to be prosecuted. In the middle of it, a lot of people, a lot of our young youth fell in the streets. We had just on 18th of March, almost 50 youth were killed by snipers in the streets of Sana'a. In the 29th of May, we had the security forces storming the Freedom Square inside the Taj, which is another city where the revolution was very strong, and they killed almost 20 person in one night. And in September, actually, in the 18th of September, that's where the bloodshed reached its peak in 2011, and almost 100 persons killed in just 2 to 3 days. So the emotions that at that moment, a lot of people were saying like, this guy should be prosecuted. We cannot give him an immunity for exchange for him to step down. But I mean, by time a lot of people realize like it's not easy to change a whole regime. I mean, this guy has the wealth, he has the power, he has the security forces, he has the army. So I mean, there should be something in exchange for something. In 2012, very interestingly, the new president, came up with a list of decrees, presidential decrees, announcing, the removal of the old figures from power. Those were the Saleh's closest regime fellows. That's where the moment we felt like now we have felt like some sort of the victory came to us. So it was until 2012, and to be specific, in December 2012, that's where we felt today we had some of our demands being accomplished. That's when his son, his nephew, and a lot of his fellows were totally removed from power.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Tell me more about just the people in Yemen and the young people, because like you said, here people go out in the streets and they speak their minds and they raise their voices, and like you said, they wanted democratic reforms, and like you mentioned before, people kind of look at it as kind of just on the periphery or the backyard of Saudi Arabia, but obviously that's not true. Like people there want the same things as anybody else does, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know the American policy towards Yemen. I mean, they've dealt with President Saleh before, and all the relations were based on how can we fight terrorism in this country? How can we fight Al Qaeda? Actually, it was very very frustrating to the normal Yemeni youth that they didn't give attention to the needs of the Yemeni youth here in the streets. A lot of funding went to the security reforms, to forming a new counterterrorism unit inside the country. That's where Saleh got a lot of money funded from the United States. But I mean, simply the people here in Yemen, they don't want an army, that's strong, so he would brutally crush us when we ask for a democratic state. They want just, a simple, they want a government that is questioned by the people, and that is accountable by the people. We want, simply like other people in anywhere else. We want, even if you see the demands of the revolution, it's all how can we build a new civil state. And that, I think that this is a very legitimate call asked by any people demanding a new country in any place in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's crazy. I remember reading an article a while back about, I can't remember, it was some country in Africa. I think it might have been like Uganda or something, and they had kind of, I think it was Uganda with the LRA, and it was kind of this ongoing like 20-year kind of like a counterinsurgency kind of thing inside their country. And this article was asking, why has this conflict gone on so long? And they said, well, a big reason is because they don't want it to stop, because they get to tell America that this is their contribution to the war on terror. So we give them money and support and all of these things in order to call them an ally. So for them, they just like, let's just keep this thing going as long as we can, because this is the gravy train, And it sounds kind of like a similar kind of thing. Like all this money goes into the military there, but the young people are like, man, we don't want more troops and guns and stuff. And the sad thing is if a lot of that money would go into building people up and supporting like your civil structures, we wouldn't need to fight terrorism.
Yeah, true. Actually, what was very surprising from the American administration policy towards Yemen. I mean, they have to, they're dealing with the same two people who were part of the problem since the beginning. So they dealt with Mubarak, they dealt with Gaddafi, and Gaddafi, they didn't even leave him only at the last moment when they saw like he really had no hope to survive. this revolution. In Yemen, actually, they stayed with Salah until the last, until the end, until he signed the DCC initiative. Actually, very surprisingly, even the American ambassador here in Yemen, when he was contacted by many of the opposition figures, telling him like, today there has been an accident. I mean, those troops are killing those young youth in the streets. What he would say, so like, they were very provocative to the security system. They should have, they shouldn't have crossed that, they shouldn't have crossed that line. Well, what could a youth, just a simple youth, think of the United States in such a country where all what he's demanding is, a new civil reform, and the response would be, those young youth, just provoke the security soldiers. It's very interesting to see also the amount of funding. We didn't receive amount. In 2012, which was after the revolution, the American administration did the same.
So I was mentioning, the amount of fund the United States kept even funding to the security sectors inside the country.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually basically, people here were asking, we want that amount of money to be put into education or healthcare. What are the basic needs of the Yemeni people here? Actually, what we don't want also, we don't want to create even a new dictator from the new president, giving him this amount of funding in the security reforms, what actually even happened in 2012. The crazy amount of drone strikes happening in our villages. I mean, this was not something we've never even experienced before. Amounts of amounts of strikes happening to in the villages where very poor people not getting the basic demands like even electricity or water, regardless of having a healthcare or an educational system. They don't even have just like as I'm telling you, electricity or water, and yet what all they receive from the country is our drones, missiles falling on their heads. What image would they create of this new regime we brought? I mean, this is not the kind of change we wanted when we went out to the streets in 2011.
Mm-hmm. So that's the thing I'd like to talk to you a lot about, is the drone program, because it's so crazy how in America there's one half that is like, well, there's these terrorists and we have to fight them, and if we're going to fight them, we'd rather use our technology instead of endangering American soldiers. And then the other half is like, well, the alternative to using drones is not using soldiers. It's not killing people at all. Like, it's a fundamental flaw in your assumption. Like, we don't need to go into these places and kill people, and so I don't know, maybe you could just share with us what it's like on your side. How do people see America, and what is this program doing for our image in your country?
Yeah, the interesting fact about those drone strikes, they are taking place on the very really poor rural areas of the country. Just the one Hellfire missile coming out from a drone costs the United States, and probably you, Garen, as a taxpayer, it costs you $60,000 one missile. I know. I mean, to do a one operation, like those 5 to 6 missiles, if that amount was taken, and like if you have $300,000 and you build a school for this very poor, there will not be any kind of al-Qaeda or terrorism. I mean, what are we talking about here? You can imagine, how this thing is going on in the country. Actually, even the political process, which is very important for us, as I'm a member of the current national dialogue, and it's very important that we gain the confidence of the Yemeni people. What confidence is gained? I know the United States are funding this process, are funding with a lot of money the national dialogue. But I mean, seriously, what legitimacy do we have when a simple person living in a village doesn't have what confidence he have in the process when his child is afraid to go out to school? And I've spoken to those people. He's saying like, my young child is afraid just to go out to school and and just live his normal life. So again, I'm repeating this. Those are like hundreds of thousands of dollars being thrown on the heads of those people. And many incidents, actually, very interestingly, some of the people who died are young, are just women and children. And sometimes just to follow one target, they say like, we had a target. You might kill 10 to 20 people next to him and saying like, yeah, but at least we got at least we got the target. But I mean, this is nonsense. I mean, how can you just to kill one person, you're killing 20 people, next to him? And then what confidence do the people have into the political process happening now when they have those drones hovering on their head all the time?
Yeah. I heard a report that, I mean, it's really hard. I don't know if anybody has a concrete answer, but I heard somebody say that for every one like terrorist we kill, there are 49 innocent people get killed. It's crazy, 2% success rate. That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I would give you if you would allow me, Garen, to share with you a very short story.
Yeah.
There's a guy who's living in Hadramaut. This is the governance in the east, in the far, this is in the east of Yemen. So this guy was he's an Islamic scholar, and he started to launch a program how he would denounce Al-Qaeda ideologies and how he would fight them by awareness. So he gave as a prayer. He gave a speech to the people saying that that what Al-Qaeda are doing are nonsense and this is not part of our religion and so on, and he's trying to explain to the people what he's trying to do and how he's going to launch his awareness program. In the same day, his family were really afraid that he might be killed by militants, by Al-Qaeda militants. Mm-hmm. They had no idea that this same imam will be killed by a drone strike. So can you imagine when you have people like this getting killed by a drone strike, who is supposed to be on their side? I mean, you're killing even the people who are on your side, and then the government announced like, we apologize, this was a mistake. Like, are you serious? What kind of mistake is this?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I tell Americans all the time, like, number one, it's just wrong. It's just wrong that we expect people to live in fear all day. That you have a sovereign country, people that take to the streets to demand democracy, the same thing that we are all about. You want the same thing that we have. You just want freedom. And how do we repay that? We have robots flying in the sky, killing people. So you're a sovereign country, and we haven't declared war on you. It's just completely wrong. It's wrong to do. But secondly, I always tell people, even if you don't care about people in Yemen or people in Pakistan or wherever, it's a program that doesn't work, and it makes us less safe. Because here's these people, like you said, who before had no problem with America, and now they say, well, you're the ones that blew up my village, and the problem is that most Americans think that we are trying to give democracy to your part of the world. But the reality is, like you said, I watched this documentary, or it was a report, and this American journalist, was in Egypt after Mubarak left. And he was interviewing these people in the street, and he said, are you people appreciative of America for helping you get rid of Mubarak? And they were like, you didn't help us get rid of Baraa. It wasn't until the writing was on the wall and he was gone anyways that you finally changed your mind and then tried to act like you were helping all along, So people see that we have like this totally two-faced, hypocritical stance in the Middle East, So if this program only makes people not like us more.
Yeah. Actually, I mean the best way, if you want, if you want this, if we may say radicalization or extremism thing to go away, is to build the rule of law here, to build more services, give more education and healthcare to the normal Yemeni citizens. That's how they feel the difference. I mean, many of the people even didn't hear about something called Al Qaeda before. I mean, only maybe us people who are like here in the capital who would see the news more often. We know what's going on. But I mean, for the simple Yemeni citizen, they don't know. I mean, what's really going on, and they don't even care. I mean, they're just normal people trying to make their daily living. What would be very effective if they feel like this project, this school, or this health facility was funded by the American administration or by the American people. This how people in the United States would feel more safe. I mean, that's how you can get to the people. I mean, just to continue with, you have no idea how drones. I mean, what is it like to live in a common fear, constant fear, drones hovering on your head. You're waiting for the moment for this strike to take place. I mean, you don't know what are they targeting, who are they targeting, and when. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, just living in a very simple village, trying to do your daily living.
You have a child who's afraid of going out to school every day. If you mean you're living, this sound buzzing on your head. You don't know where it's going to strike. You know what is their coming target. I mean, it's just, and you cannot just tell people it's happened that you were in the wrong place at the wrong time. This is not the right way to talk to a common, very poor villager who wants just to make his daily living. So it's either, it's a two-way approach. Either, as you mentioned, I mean, what can we do? Simply just don't do anything. Just let those normal people live their own life. If you want really to do something, I mean, I'm saying this to the American people. If you really want to do something, give your funding on the right channel. Give it to education, healthcare, basic services. This would have a real impact on the lives of the Yemeni people.
Yeah, I had heard a while back about in the Northwest Territories in Pakistan, where all the drone strikes in Pakistan are happening, that there's something crazy like one doctor for every 10,000 people or something like that. So I told somebody, well, what would happen if instead of drones we sent doctors? That would change people's lives. They would love us. And this person said, oh yeah, good luck sending doctors up there. Those people are crazy. They would just kill the doctors. So I was talking to a guy from Pakistan the other day, and he's like a really, really successful businessman. And I told him that story, and he goes, well, it's funny you say that because I came to the same conclusion. And I found out about this one village where a lot of the turmoil is happening, and they don't have clean water to drink. So I went over to the German delegation, and we put together a few trucks full of drinking water and just sent them drinking water. And then we found out about how in their hospital they didn't have electricity, and so they couldn't do operations in the hospital because they didn't have light inside. So they go up there and they install electricity. They got all the wiring put in. They put in lights. Now they can do these surgeries there. So he goes into this village where supposedly they would kill doctors, according to this person I was talking to. And the whole village comes out and just surrounds him, and they pray for him, and they put blessings on him, changes people's lives. So here's a guy that he actually did it. He didn't sit back and go, they're crazy Muslim extremists. He went and did it.
I totally agree. The Yemeni people, by their nature, I mean, they're not extremists by their nature. Surprisingly, I talked to many of those people who've been living under the drones hovering on their head. They kind of don't blame the American people, the normal American people. They say, well, we blame the American administration. Sometimes they're like, yeah, we blame Obama.
Thank you.
But not even one time I I talked to a sister who lost both of her brothers in in a drone strike, and she said, I know this has nothing to do with the American people. I have nothing against the American people. I blame the government and the American administration.
Wow.
This thing cannot. Yeah, this thing. If you can imagine a sister losing both of her brothers and saying that, what would be the impact of people, as you said, giving doctors to a village as an example? Make the American people more safe. We have a journalist who's living here in Sana'a, and he walks down the street and he had no fear whatsoever that he might get kidnapped or being killed by Al Qaeda. Sometimes I hear the news talking about Yemen. So like, really, is this like happening outside the street? I'm not in a coffee shop. I'm pretty sure nothing is going on there. When journalists made like a very short movie, and he said the American policy in Yemen. He said the American policy, a recipe for anti-Americanism, and this is a thing. The people now could be understanding like this is nothing to do with the American people, but by the continuous killing and the continuous fear caused by these drones, people definitely going to say like, we cannot live in this situation forever.
Yeah.
It's time for us to start and step up for and defending ourselves. And just give less credibility for people like me who are talking here in Sana'a, say like, we want democracy, we want a civil state, we want to build our institutions, we want the rule of law. And when I go there, so like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. As American, that's so crazy for me to hear. Like what you just said, here we think that we're trying to give, at least the people think that our government is trying to give democracy, and we're doing the opposite. That you go talk to people and they go, what democracy? We don't want that if that's what it looks like. And then the second thing is hearing that girl that lost her brothers. Man, that just touches me. That it's so crazy how in America, if anybody did that to us, if anybody had drones flying in our country, it would be war. We would go to war in a second. And then, I have one brother and one sister. If anything happened to them, I wouldn't be very forgiving or very merciful, but it just, like I said, it touches me just to think that somebody would, in her situation, she has every right to hate me, and hate my people, but that she would show that kind of grace and understanding. Man, I wish that Americans could learn our lesson and show that kind of.
And actually, a couple of times, like journalists to go and talk to her and say, like, see for yourselves. These are these kinds of people. This is a girl who lost both her brothers, and it has nothing against you. But all what she needs from you, just leave her alone, and just don't come and droning over her village and killing those innocent people. And actually, the last time I met her, this girl is very very eloquent, very articulate, and what she's trying to do now is she said, like, both of my brothers have been killed in such a strike. Now I'm trying to prevent more people to be to get killed in future strikes. And the last time she said, what she wants to do, she wants me to take her to the Minister of Human Rights here in Sana'a and say, how can we do awareness so people cannot be extremists in the future? How can we do this in our educational system or in our daily speech to the people? And coming from a girl who lost both her brothers, I see this as very amazing.
For sure. Man, that's such a powerful story, and for me, that's why this website's such a small thing, but that's why I want to do this, because I love my country. That this country has stood for great things in the past. There's great people that are here today. It's my home. I love my country, and it breaks my heart to think that there's people out there that have stories like hers. Like, we have so many resources in our country. We're so rich. We have so much. We need to use what we have to build people up and to make people's lives better, you know? And instead, we have so much and we deny so much of other people. You know, we've taken so much from this girl. It's so wrong that we have so much, but we take even more. We take people's brothers, you know? It's so gross to me, and I just, you know, I want the country that I love to be better than that, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And you know, for the average Yemeni, I mean, we know that America has set up for many great things in the past. They always talked about how to defend human rights and the freedoms of people. I've met with many. I mean, one of my best friends, she's an American living in Washington, and we I mean, in general, we know how the American people would feel if they just have the chance to see the reality, and just don't get the messages from the usual media outlets. What I want to say is that, like, the Yemeni people are like normal people, like the American people. They want, I mean, not in 2011, Garen. I mean, you had no idea. The Yemeni people surprised everybody. They said, like, those Yemeni people demanded democracy. They demanded a civil state. Demanded a new system. And none of them talked about, like, we want to go back to our extremist ideologies, and nobody even talked about like we're going to make a new country that would face the United States, or going to in a war with the whole world, because those people have give us gave us hell in the past few years. Actually, everybody demanded is just a state where it would respect its own citizens, and having the rights and freedoms like any other state in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, you were just saying about how, Yemen surprised the world, and you're people like any other, and people could just have the opportunity to see that. So, like, would it be possible for, this might even be an ignorant question, but, like, I could come visit as a tourist, and things would be just fine, and I could, come hang out in Sana'a with you, and like you said, the journalists that could just walk down the street, like, it's not a dangerous place, or what would it be like if I were to visit there?
Of course. I mean, I would love to. I would seriously love to host you here in Sana'a. If you ever have the chance and want to come here, we'll be more than happy to walk in and show you around. You'll see. I mean, you'll see one of the most historical places you've ever seen in your life. It's just beautiful. It's just it's just what's really absent in here. We want a state that would respect its own people,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to implement the rule of law. That's what we really miss now here in the country. And and give the basic services. This is how people feel the state. That's how they feel the country. They don't feel it. I mean, how would they feel it? I mean, with just heavy security or troops present in their villages. They need basic services. That's how I feel my country is present. But I mean, for sure, anytime you want to visit, I would love to show you around here.
Yeah, I would love to come. So say I came over. What would be like a itinerary? Like if I were to come over and spend a week, like what kind of things would you show a tourist, and where would you go? What would you see?
Well, I would definitely show you the old city here in Sana'a. I would show you some of the suburbs of Sana'a. I mean, if we say like you only spend a week and you spend it here in Sana'a, there's a lot to see. So there is a very special place in the old city where you can see the whole of Sana'a just beneath you. And I mean, and in general, I mean, you can go out, go to a coffee shop, hang out with friends, see new people every day, It's a very interesting place to be in. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds really neat. And so I was going to ask, but you kind of just answered it already. Like as far as what people do, like people's daily lives sound like anywhere else. Like you said, you hang out with friends, you go to coffee shops, and it's not like your daily life or your activities are that different than anywhere else, huh?
Of course. I would say, I mean, people in here, it's just a normal life living their daily lives. What's actually happened, and I have to point here when I'm talking to you, difference that happened in 2012 is that the amount of drone strikes happening in the country increased to its peak, and that never happened before. Actually, in one village, I remember there were 3 strikes happening in the same day, and you can imagine how would the people feel in such a village. I mean, this continuous making people live in fear. This was actually threatened the life here in Sana'a and in Yemen. So actually, many of the villagers are feeling more threatened by the American policy here in Yemen. Not the opposite. Not even one person I interviewed during my work on drones said, I'm really having a hard time from the members of Al Qaeda. Some of them even don't know what Al Qaeda is. But I mean, what they know, the drones are hovering on their heads, and it's actually threatening their life, and how those simple people would be easily recruited by some militants if they told us like this is a common enemy and we're both facing this common enemy. You're living in fear and I'm living in fear. We have to face it.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, true.
I was just thinking. So last summer I went to Iran, and I spent a couple weeks there just traveling around, and it was the same thing. We don't hear very much at all about Yemen, only maybe some drone stuff here and there. But in Iran, we hear about Iran every day, about how horrible it is and how we might need to go to war and all that stuff. So to go to Iran, it was amazing because it was so great. The people were just the nicest people in the world. It was absolutely beautiful country. So do you know the TV show The Real World on MTV?
Yeah.
It's a horrible show, but so they get all these people that live in a house together. So I told somebody, what would be great is to get a bunch of Americans to live in a house in Iran and just live there for a summer and just show like here. It's not even just me like going for a tour for 2 weeks, but we're living there. And every day we're going to the grocery store, we're going to meet friends at a coffee shop, we're going to have a picnic or whatever, and just say, look, we're here every day. People know that we're Americans, they know where we live, and they're not burning our house down, they're not coming to kill us. It would be extremely hard to pull it off, but I think that'd be a really, really cool, like an online TV show or something. But I was just thinking, maybe if I can't do it in Iran, maybe I'll come do it in Yemen. I'll go be the American guy that lives in Yemen for a summer or something.
Yeah, of course. I mean, what we can do actually would be great if we can, as you mentioned. I mean, just get a camera and say like those are American people living here in Sana'a for a couple of days, and let's see how it works. And I'm telling you, I'm totally sure. You would find one of the most interesting places actually be. Yeah. And the people in here, in general, they're very hospitable. I mean, they're very generous. They're very kind.
I had seen, I can't remember where it was, in a magazine or something, how in Yemen there's this city that was like one of the first cities in the world to have skyscrapers because of like when some outside forces came into attack, so they had to build their homes up. So it's this, right? It's like a village that's like hundreds and hundreds of years old, but the buildings are all really tall.
Yeah. Actually, I can really send you some pictures if you want to see that village. But I mean, unless you're willing to come here, then we will be happy to show you the place. But it's actually a very historical place. It's in the east of Yemen, in Hadramaut, the same village where I told you that scholar died by the drone strike. Actually, he died in the village next to to Shibam, these these skyscrapers you were talking about.
Oh man. Here is like a World Heritage site. We're just tossing missiles around over there. Oh,
Yeah.
crazy. Well, is there anything that we haven't covered yet that people need to know about Yemen?
Well, I think you. I mean, we had some. We had a good talk today, and some of the most important things regarding Yemen we've already talked about. And what would be great if we can, do this thing sometime, anytime soon, and where we can start focusing on talking about a very specific thing we want people to know about Yemen, where I can get more information about either if you're interested in historical places or the nature or what exactly we want to tell people about Yemen, and we can share maybe some pictures and photos. I think that would be great.
Yeah, do it for sure. You have my email, so whatever you want to share, like I
Yeah,
said, pictures or links, email it to me, and then when I put this on the website, I'll put
sure.
it down underneath the video.
Yeah, sure. If we can, I mean, I'm not sure how you're doing this video thing of yours, but I can send you some photos, and then when the part when I'm telling you about the old city here in Sana'a, you can share some of the photos. Like you can
Yeah,
make some of those images. Yeah,
for sure. That'd be great. I'll do that for sure.
yeah,
So, just
cool.
one last question then. So, just you, like on a personal level, if you had the chance to give one message to everybody in the world, what message would you want to tell everybody? Whether it's just a personal thing or about Yemen or anything that you want.
I want to tell them that the Yemeni youth went out to the streets demanding a new democratic civil state. They want the basic needs as any other nation in the world. Those are not, just small young youth who doesn't know what they're talking about. Those are very educated, very educated. I would say youth who really knew, and even set our priorities. What do we want now, and what do we do want to do next, and so on. What actually is very hurting for us, that maybe I had the chance to talk to a person like you. Maybe I had the chance. I mean, I had the chance to travel even around. I had the chance to go to Europe and a lot of other countries. But I mean, to see those poor people, poor villagers, who want just nothing, just to make their daily living, and what they cannot make is just living in peace, and living their daily lives. They haven't even demanded from the government even a school or a hospital. They just want to just live their peaceful lives. Yet not only that, yet we're sending drones and missiles on their heads.
Hmm.
Those are the people, I think, who won't be patient for long. Those are the people who I think this country should pay more attention, and the American government should pay more attention. Those are the people who actually, we believe all what we're trying to do is to improve their situation,
Hmm.
and I think they deserve a better life, and we all have a responsibility. Either me living here in Sana'a, or you living in America, or any other citizen living in any place. We have a commitment towards those people, just to improve just to improve their life and make them live in peace.
For sure. And when you talk to people like that, feel free to tell them my story and show them my face and tell them like I said, this website is such a small thing, but I'm trying to do my small part, and I wish those people peace and prosperity and health too. And um, if you ever think of any way where just some dude with a laptop in America can help, you let me know.
Yeah, of course. I really thank Garen, for your initiative actually, and actually we would like to see more initiatives like yourself, and for sure, I mean, what would be amazing if we can get the sister I was telling you about and get her like talk to you. And I know it's a very simple thing, but I mean, at least we can have a message, delivered to to some American friends living all the way in America.
Does she speak English?
I don't think she speaks English, but I mean I mean we can see a way how we can translate
Yeah. You
translate her
speak both?
speech.
You could translate?
Yeah,
That would
yeah, of
be
course,
such
my
a
pleasure, of course.
powerful experience. I would definitely be down to do that.
Yeah, yeah. So, I think, I mean, let's think of it, and then both me and you can email each other and see what we can do,
For
what
sure.
we can do with that.
I was talking to somebody yesterday from the West Bank, and we were just talking about how right now, uh, the most extreme voices are the loudest voices, and those are the voices that we hear the most often. But we have the power now and the technology, just like this, like with Skype and the internet, for individual people to raise their voice. So that's where we're at. We need to raise our voices louder. And I told this guy from West Bank, that's why I'm making this website, because in my country, the most extreme voices are the ones that are running the government, and they're the ones that are in charge of the military. And I don't want them speaking on my behalf. I don't want my voice to be dictated by those crazy bastards. So I want to raise my own voice. So for sure, any initiatives like you said, like you're doing, like I'm doing, where individual people can speak up and speak to each other, yeah, let's keep talking about it and do some of that stuff.
Yeah, I thank you again, Garen, and thank you for your time and just the initiative. Yeah.
No, the pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much for talking to me today, Bara. All right, I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
All right,
Bye.
bye bye. So I hope that you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. Bara was the first person I've ever met from Yemen before, and that was a really fun conversation. So I hope it was fun to watch. I think a central kind of the core point of that conversation was that as Americans and as our country, as America, we have a right to defend ourselves, and we have the right to ensure our security. And we also, because of what a rich nation we are, we do have a bit of an obligation to build up the people around us. And I don't think that anybody would disagree with either one of those statements, that we have the right to defend ourselves and that we should be a force for good in the world. But I hope that conversation just encouraged you to think about how we go about doing those. That in the big picture, I think that our policies are pretty counterproductive to our security and to our peace. So maybe let's start thinking about some ways that are productive, more for ourselves and for the people on the other end of our policies. But yeah, let's just think about how to be a blessing to the world, and how to keep ourselves more safe. So once again, I hope that you enjoyed that. Stay tuned for more interviews. Thanks.